Greetings, my dear friends. West Asia, a geographical region starting from Iran all the way up to Israel, is in the news these days. All for not so great reasons. Probably it is the most complex region geopolitically, also the most volatile one. There are 45 conflicts, armed conflicts going on in this region at this moment in time. But primarily, these are broadly classified as the Shia Sunni rivalry, which is basically the frosty relationship between the principals Shia Iran and the Sunni Saudi Arabia, each jostling for leadership in the Islamic world and fighting with their proxies for their respective importance. The second is the Arab Israeli fight. This is also being fought either through proxies or through some direct means here and there. But the Abrahamic Accords made a major change when they happened in 2020. Numerous countries or sects within the same country have their fights going on. For example, Turkey fighting the Kurds, Syria fighting the Kurds, different factions of ISIS fighting the Syrians and the Shias and the others all over. Yemen is a bed of terror anywhere, whichever way you go, with Iran and Saudi Arabia fighting through their proxies. No wonder nobody seems to know how to deal with this region. To add to the complexity, the changes in demography are creating their own problems. For example, Lebanon, which was a Christian state, is now an Islamic state. The Arab Israel war or the Arab Israel conflict has been on since the birth of Israel in 1948. This seems to be one of the very few constants in this region. This status quo was challenged when the Abrahamic Accords happened in 2020, which led to some sort of rapprochement and a recognition of Israel's right to survive. This very obviously was not liked by some people, especially the Hamas, the Hezbollahs, and the Palestinians themselves. The attack on Israel by Hamas on the 7th of October 2023 changed this region in a very big way. It was a major escalation as far as this conflict is concerned. The degree of barbarism, the degree of remorselessness, and the audacity of the attack forced many to reconsider their support for Palestine on one hand, and on the other, forced many to come out absolutely in favor of Palestine and anti Israel. Anti Semitism became a rage. This conflict now entered its 7th month. There is no sign of an end game. It's a roller coaster of a conflict, some escalations now and then, some winding down of tensions. But the attack on the Iranian embassy annex in Syria on the 1st of April 24 killed two major generals of the Republican Guard, especially the Quds Force. That dramatically caused a big escalation. Iran swore revenge. It promised, in its words, slap Israel. It had no option but to show face and maintain its face. Retaliation was always on the cards. The US, Saudi Arabia, Qatar all tried their best to stop Iran from a retaliation. That didn't happen. Iran fired 330 rockets, drones, missiles. Finally, only 7 of them managed to touch ground in Israel. Some caused minor damage. Iran claimed great success and said it has hit that dirty Satan and has halted the operation. It tom-tommed its victory. Welcome, my dear friends, to ChaxSimplifies, your channel to demystify and simplify complex geopolitical issues like this one into easily understandable bites. Is the World War III already started? Probably yes, in my opinion. However, it's still not labeled as such, and today there are numerous flashpoints. This video is first in the series where I'll be covering the flashpoints across the globe, and we will now focus for this time on West Asia. We will discuss very briefly the West Asian conundrum, the main actors, their compulsions, especially Iran, Israel, and the US. How does that affect us in India? And some crystal ball cave grazing is my personal opinion. What happens next? So let's take a look at what has happened in the immediate past. The 1st of April, Iran struck the Iranian embassy annex in Syria. 13 people were killed, including Brigadier General Mohammad Raza Zahedi and Brigadier General Mohammad Hadi Haji Rahimi, both senior commandants of the Irani Quds Force. 5 other IRGC officers were also killed. In retaliation, Iran fired 185 drones. All of them were shot down over Jordan, Syria, and Iraq. 36 cruise missiles. All of them got shot down. 110 ballistic missiles. 103 were shot down. One hit the Nevatim air base in the South Negev desert of Israel. Minor damage was caused, and the one casualty known so far is one Bedouin girl. Iran claimed major success. It tom-tommed its success, creating videos, memes, celebrations across Tehran and many other cities. It said its honor has been restored and declared this operation was designed to minimize the potential of escalation and is since over. Undoubtedly, Iran has demonstrated its capability, its capacity, and its will to strike. It has hedged its bets by informing all concerned of the strike. Israel got as much as a 4-hour warning that drones and missiles are on their way. Gave it enough time to neutralize them. Thereby, Iran played to its internal gallery, yet managed to restrict damage. Israel, on the other hand, said Iran has crossed every major red line and Israel reserves the right of retaliation at a time and place of its choosing. Undoubtedly, this is the first time there has been a strike on Israel from Iranian soil directly. That has changed the game out here. Till now, Iran maintained possible deniability by using proxies. Israel, on the other hand, has carried out numerous attacks on Iran. On the 7th of June 1981, Operation Babylon, it struck Iranian nuclear facilities. In 2005, cyber attacks using the program Stuxnet created havoc in the Iranian nuclear program. On the 27th of November 2020, it assassinated the Iranian scientist Moshe Fakirzada. Israel, on the other hand, has always been practicing and wargaming an attack by Iran, and as recently as June 2023. However, Iran has potential troubles within. Its economy is struggling with a 5% plus drop in its GDP in the last quarter of 2023, a 6% drop in its exports to 163 billion. A number of allies are dwindling. And its political support from outside, whether it is the US, the UK, France, and others, is getting lesser and lesser. Especially, there seems to be no support for a counterstrike. Domestically, Benjamin Netanyahu is under intense pressure and scrutiny. Israel does have the technological superiority, but Iran has more soldiers. It also has proxies, Hamas, 15,000 of them, Hezbollah, 150,000 of them, the Houthis, 5,000, others. Iran seems to hold a number of cards. If you look at West Asia, it's a region like a tinderbox, just waiting to explode. Look at the powers from outside of the region. The US has 45,000 plus active soldiers in the region, 20 bases plus across 10 nations. In addition, two fleets, at least two aircraft carriers, one in the Mediterranean with 7 ships, and one with Persian Gulf, Red Sea, Arabian Sea, all inclusive 12 ships. 19 ships, including two aircraft carriers, are here. Along with them are 10,000 plus Marines. Take the UK. It maintains 2,500 people in 23 bases in Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Iraq. France has over 2,000 people in Oman, a major air base there. Russia has over 6,000 soldiers in Syria with major base there. In the Red Sea, every major navy has a presence. US, UK, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, China, even Sri Lanka. India has 10 warships here, all for the purpose of safeguarding its economic interests and trade routes. Let's look at the main combatants within this region. On one hand, you have Iran, a population of 89 million with over 5.8 lakh active soldiers, 551 aircraft, 101 ships, a GDP of $413 billion. It has a large drone cruise missile inventory, cheap, mass produced, capable of being deployed very quickly. Israel, on the other hand, has a population of just 10 million, but 170,000 active soldiers, 612 aircraft, 67 ships, a GDP of $539 billion, but in addition, it gets $3.8 billion annual assistance, military assistance from the US. It has major systems, cutting edge systems like the Iron Dome, David Sling, Arrow 1, 2, and 3, all of them capable of causing and preventing significant damage. In addition, like I said, Iran maintains its army of militia, the Hezbollah, 150,000 fighters. Hamas has been greatly dwindled but still has 15,000 fighters alive today. Houthis have 5,000 fighters. Hamas has Hezbollah has an inventory of over 70,000 rockets and missiles. The Hamas, not very sure of the number. Different people give a different number, but it could be as much as 20,000 rockets and missiles. They are all trained, battle hardened, and ready to die. You can very clearly see Iran has the numbers, Israel has the technology. Like I said, 45 major conflicts are happening in this region, from Cyprus, Egypt, Iraq, Iran, Israel, Lebanon, Libya, Morocco, Sudan, Syria, Turkey, Yemen, Western Sahara. Which area have we left out, really speaking? The population is mainly poor, has limited hope, but unlimited despair. They are ripe for religious indoctrination and fundamentalism. They have nothing to lose. You can see my video. I'll place a link of that on conflict and hunger. This region is also known as a region where battles are fought by proxies. Major powers have been fighting each other using proxies. Whether it was the Saudis and the Iranians that fought in Yemen with their proxies, Iran, don't forget, has kept war away from its doorstep for a long time now. It has the proxies of Hezbollah in Lebanon and Syria, Houthis in Yemen, Hamas in Gaza, Islamic resistance in Iraq, Al-Astar Brigade in Bahrain, and a number of other small players. It funds them, keeps them happy, provides them with the necessary wherewithal to fight. Iran did get a taste of its own medicine, where it is believed US used Pakistan as a proxy, particularly the ISKP, to attack at Cameron on the grave of Qasim Soleimani, killing over 100 people. Thereafter, at the IRGC headquarters in Chabahar port on the 4th of April, this last one killed 15 IRGC troops and officers. Was this a signal by US to say, hey, if you have proxies, so do we. And we can open a front which is much closer to your backyard and compared to Israel. However, this attack from Iranian soil brings Iran for the first time directly in conflict with Israel. This has changed the dynamics of this region, and the provincial parda has now come off, and it is clear who was directing the battle. Israel, on the other hand, was never in shadows. Yet, when Iran attacked Israel, Jordan, a Muslim nation, an Islamic nation, closed its airspace temporarily, shot down Iranian drones and missiles, although for domestic consumption, it says it did not do much to help. It claimed they encountered some flying objects and dealt with them to ensure they don't cause damage or injuries to its citizens. Saudi Arabia, UAE, shared intelligence with the US to help neutralize Iranian strikes. Jordan opened its airspace to allow US and UK aircraft to interdict Iranian strike drones or missiles or cruise missiles. Don't forget, the Arab states host Western air defense systems, surveillance radars, and of course, they have the basis for refueling and other logistics help. All in all, Iran saved its face, Arab countries helped, US protected Israel, and Israel did not suffer any major damage. That means everybody happy? Problem solved? Probably not. One still remains to be asked, why did Iran pass on this intelligence despite the fact it wanted to strike? Very obviously, it needed to save face with its internal audience, but did not want to instigate Israel to carry out a mass attack. Iran is also smart. But why do the Arab states help Israel? Don't forget, there are three major power centers in West Asia. One, Israel. It's a military and technological power center. Second is Saudi Arabia. It is the money power. And Iran is the mischief power. It has the ability to create mischief and is a quasi-nuclear power. It is greatly under sanctions which are hurting, but wants leadership of the Islamic Ummah. It considers that leadership a right because it is the oldest civilization in this region and at one time did rule much of this region. Other than Iran, most of the Arab nations are also rich. They want to protect their own self interest. They make their billions through oil and do not want an unwanted war to puncture their happy, luxurious existence. They are also developing their economies beyond of oil and definitely need the technology which only the US and Israel can provide. Security. They want a US nuclear umbrella and a security shield that again only with the US and want Israel to be aware of it. The manpower, the technical capability, the implementation abilities, all of that will obviously come from India. And as far as money is concerned, they have enough. Therefore, the Abrahamic Accords were signed by UAE and Bahrain in 2020. Reconciliation with Israel would ease this process. Saudi Arabia was expected to follow. India Middle East Economic Corridor, the I2U2 Accords are all steps in this very direction. Ultimate aim was very clear. Sideline Iran. Eventually, US wants to derail Iranian nuclear ambitions totally. No wonder you find Iran cozying up to China and Russia. If a Iran Israeli war takes place, this will derail everything. Arab nations host allies, the US, UK, France, among others. They cannot avoid getting sucked into this battle in case this war happens. However, they also have a majority Muslim population. And will this population accept the countries actually fighting against Muslim Iran? Major question to be asked for themselves. Therefore, you have a unique, very funny situation today. Michael Huntington wrote the book Clash of Civilizations. However, it seems to be coming true now. On one hand, you have Islamic Iran, which has threatened the peace in this region, may well drag Israel into a conflict, and if that happens, Muslim nations may well be forced to side with Iran. On the other hand, if a strike happens on US, then US being a NATO member, all other NATO countries will have to come to its assistance. Most of the NATO countries are Christian. This very eerily looks like a Christian Muslim conflict or the clash of civilizations. Very recently, there was a discussion in the United Nations on Islamophobia. And many people complained that there are countries which have a phobia against Islam. If this war happens, this Islamophobia may well become very real. Therefore, is this giving opportunity to the Islamic world to reform itself before something happens? So, what is the end game? From where I see it, the destruction of Iranian nuclear capabilities in the long run will always remain a part of the end game. From the production of fissile material to the means of delivery, from command and control centers to the nuclear reactors themselves, all are fair target. This entire episode, if you see, reeks like a fixed match. Israel hits Iran, Iran hits Israel, Iran gives warning, no damage in Israel, Iran declares operation over. It is showing as though it has been stage managed in some way or the other. Hamas will definitely get crippled. Whether the idea of Religious fundamentalism goes or not is a different story, but Hamas will get crippled. Saudi Arabia, my view, may well become some sort of a guarantor for the Palestinian people, get additional self governance, self rule, whichever way you want to look at it, may or may not be an accord, but that may well happen. But that will pave the way for Saudi Arabia and the other Arab nations to come under the security umbrella of the United States. This will reinforce Saudi Arabia's position as the Islamic leader and sideline Iran, definitely. China may well remain largely a bystander, but with the potential of playing the joker and use another proxy to create problems, Turkey. Remember, I said the World War III has already begun. It's just not been declared. Look at the current hotspots. On one end, you have the Ukraine war, NATO and US using Ukraine as a proxy, supporting Ukraine. Chinese belligerence in the South China Sea knows no bounds. It claims 90% of the South China Sea as its own in absolute ignorance, or not ignorance, absolute ignoring the international norms. It wants reunification with Taiwan and very recently dropped the word peaceful. Uses North Korea as a proxy to trouble South Korea as well as Japan and claims the Senkaku Islands. A daily affair of jostling ships, especially Coast Guard ships of Philippines in the South China Sea, using its fishing militia and Coast Guard to show its power. It has militarized man-made islands. Against India, it shows a fair amount of aggression, whether it was in Galwan or in Arunachal Pradesh, with the recent renaming of places in the Arunachal. Red Sea area is in turmoil. Whether it is the Houthis who are firing missiles against Western ships or the Somali pirates making hay when the sun is shining. Gaza and Palestine were burning, are burning, and seem to continue to burn. The only area that is not fighting so much is the Americas. So, what's in it for India? The world order is changing. The unipolar world post the collapse of the Ukraine of USSR and China wanting to usurp the number one position from US seems to be changing into a multipolar world with apparent power centers in US, Japan and South Korea, India, Israel and Saudi Arabia. The focus of the world is now on the Indo-Pacific. India is presently the fifth largest economy, will soon be the third. It has the IT capability, especially in digital and financial sectors. Manufacturing is growing, as well as the geopolitical heft due to its unique position in the Indian Ocean region. It is accepted as the leader of the global south. To continue its growth, India needs peace and stability. Definitely no new economic shocks or a black swan event. The crisis in Red Sea was bad enough. The recent takeover of MV Ares by the IRGC has made even the Persian Gulf and the Straits of Hormuz dangerous. In a globalized world, our development is dependent on the world, and instability and economic shocks will push the world into recession and affect us. Nervous and worried. That is Flashpoint West Asia today. That is Flashpoint the world today itself. 72 hours post the Iranian strike, Israel has still not responded. The West has criticized Iran. Russia and China have criticized Israel. But the Arab states are conspicuously silent. They have in fact helped the interdiction of Iranian drones and missiles so that the damage on Israel could be limited. Everybody, including the UN, has urged de escalation and restraint. Israel, in that sense, is alone and must do whatever it must by itself. Iran has signaled not just its intentions, but also its capacity and capability and the will to launch mass strikes. Will the next strike, so launched, be more devastating? Only time will tell. West Asia is a tinderbox, waiting for someone somewhere to strike a match. Israeli retaliation holds the key to the World War III. Militarily, it is capable. Economically, perhaps not. But it needs allies who are not with it today. Its response will determine how this narrative flows. Fighting fire with fire, will it lead to peace or to ashes? We continue to live, my dear friends, in very interesting times. If you approve of the video, please leave a like and please do comment. That motivates me immensely. As always, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not already subscribed and press the bell icon to be notified of new videos. Please feel free to share this video with your family and friends. And as always, I look forward to your continued support and suggestions. Until next time, Jai Hind.